Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Concept. So today we are going to create this simple citation design in Adobe Photoshop. So let's just get started. Welcome to Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Alright, as always, I'm using Adobe Photoshop CC 2019, I think, and I'll go ahead and open it up. So I'll go to create new because I'm creating a new document, and I'm going to set my width and height to that of an A4. If you don't have it within your recent items, you can just go to print and you should see A4 just here and click on create. Now, because you are going to be printing this, I want to make mention that you have to change it to CMYK mode. So go to images, go to modes and change it to CMYK. Or better still, just at the home page when you are creating the new design, you can just change it from here to CMYK. But either way, both of them will still give you the exact same result. So I'll bring up my rulers using Ctrl R. So hold down Ctrl key and press the R key. And I'll just click and drag to the center from the side like so. Let's fit this to screen. So the first thing we are going to do is actually create a background, some random shape background. So I'm going to flip this around and make sure that my foreground color is black. And I'll create a new layer, that is the second icon from the right. Let's call this random shapes. I can't spell today. No, well, let's call it random background. And I'll grab the brush tool, that's B on your keyboard. I'll go into window and make sure that brush settings is set, and in here we are going to make some few changes. So I'll go into shape dynamics and make sure that the size jitter is at 100%. I'll go into scattering and increase the scattering, and every time you are doing this, you'll be able to see a preview of what is actually going to happen down in this rectangle here. So you can see them. If I bring them closer, you get a preview of it. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. Right now, my brush size is set to 175. Let's make it 200 pixel. And making sure that I'm still on the random background layer. If I click and drag, this is what I'm getting. So if this looks cool for you, you can just go ahead with it. I think this is okay, but I don't want it moving diagonally, so I'll just brush over to the left and do the exact same thing over here. So I think something like this is okay. I'm actually going to create a duplicate of this, so I can use Ctrl J or just click and drop on the new layer icon, that is the same icon, the second one from the right, and I'll go ahead and flip this around. So I'll grab my move tool, click on any of the edges, or just use Ctrl T to bring up the transform options. You know the transform options is active when you see these three options up here. So without transform, Ctrl T, transform options. So I can just right click on anywhere on my workspace and flip this, whether vertical or horizontal. I'll start with horizontal and then vertical, and this is what I get. I think this is looking cool. Now this is for the background. We don't actually need it to be so vivid, so I'll select both of these and I'll reduce the opacity to about 50 or 30. I'm not so sure right now. I think about probably 10 is okay. So 10 for both of them should be just fine. Now I'm going ahead to grab my YouTube social media icons. You can basically use a logo if you are with a company or anything like that, but since I'm not, and I don't want to use my logo for this, so I'll just use the YouTube icon. Let's resize this to about this big and click on OK. Now let's hide that for a second. I actually don't need these borders around here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the magic wand because if you look carefully, you can see that this entire place is just red. So just one click can select all the red colors for me. That's going to make it a lot easier. So once I have that selection, I'll hit delete on my keyboard and that should delete that area. Now unfortunately, we are getting some form of ununiform selection. So what I can do is I can actually use the lasso tool to create a selection around what I actually need. So that is this area. Now if I hit delete, this is the part that is going to be off, but I don't want it that way. I actually want it to delete outside, so I'll go into select and click on inverse, or you can use Ctrl+Shift+I. So that is going to select outside the borders of what you've created, and you can see from the edges from here. So once I hit delete on my keyboard, it's going to delete all those edges for me, and this is looking cool. And also I want to flip these colors around. I'll go back to the magic wand and I'll actually delete this red color in here about 3 times. So that is going to delete all those areas for me. So I think this is looking cool, but I actually want this playhead to be a red color, not white. So with that YouTube playhead still active, I'll go into FX, that's the second icon from the left, and I'll click on color overlay because we want to put a color on top of this original color, and I'll set it to that red color, or any red color for that matter. So if I fit this to screen, you can see that this is what we have. Now I can just toggle off and on the effect I just applied, and you can see that this is how it looks. So beforehand, I actually had a bunch of information that I wanted to add in there, so I'm just going to copy and paste, and I'll just select any random font to, okay, initially it's set to Carbon, so I think I'll just go with Carbon, and I'll just put this over here. So overall best YouTuber, Ghanaian YouTuber actually. So you know what, let me just increase the size of this. I'm actually using the type 2 that's T on your keyboard, in case you are wondering, and I'll also increase it. I'll actually make it about the same size as this, so 18 points, or I should probably make it a little bit bigger. It looks too small for me, so about 24 points for each should be just fine. I think this is looking cool. Now if you look carefully, you can see that the overall best and Ghanaian YouTuber are spaced quite farther away from each other. I actually prefer it this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to match those spacing over here where there's a spacing over here. So I'll grab my type 2, make sure that I've selected this area. I'll go into window and click on character. Now once I'm in character, I'm going to play around this slider over here. This allows me to control the spacing between the top text and the lower text. So I think somewhere around here probably looks about the same as this. So probably 36 or 40 points should be okay. Now if I fit this to screen using my move tool, let's see, sorry, the zoom tool, it looks about the same. I'm also going to change this to probably bold so that we have some form of differentiation between them. I think this is looking cool. Now the next thing is to I think let's make it 36 instead. The next thing is to add in my image. So I think I already have an image in here. Yeah, I'll probably go with this one, or let's try this one instead. But before that, I actually want to put the image on top of a circle. So let's go ahead and create a circle. Go into the shapes tool, right click, and go to ellipse tool. You can click on it once and make sure that the width and height are set to the same, and you get a perfect circle like so. But I don't want that. I can just go back to the tool. I can just hold down the shift key whilst clicking and dragging, and it is going to give me the perfect circle. Once I leave the shift key, I can change the form to an oval, but I don't want that. I actually want a circle, so I have to hold down the shift key. Then I'll place this at the center. I think somewhere around here is fine. This is looking cool. Now usually I'll name all these, but if you've been old to this channel, I'm pretty sure you already know how to name your files, so I'm not going to be naming this. I'm just going to leave everything like they are now. Now I'm just going to click and drag and drop my image in here and try to resize it to fit the shape I have over there, and just click on OK. Now making sure that that image is on top of the ellipse you created, right click on the image or the image layer and go to create clipping mask, and this is going to mask what the image on top of the ellipse. So the image is only going to show where that ellipse is. I'm pretty sure that most of you are well versed in this because I use this a lot of times. Alright, so I like how this is looking, but unfortunately I don't like the background. It's still too dark, so I'll probably reduce it to about 5%, and I think 5% looks cool. So you know what, let's just go ahead and save this. So citation design, then I'll add in the rest of the information. So this is awarded to Theolabi for blah 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 blah, and I'll just paste it in here using my type tool. So let me change this to a regular font and reduce the size to about 12 points. And you can see that the spacing is uneven, it's even, and so much gap is in there. That is because the character options is still set to 36. I'll just change it to auto for now, and let's zoom in using the zoom tool. So I'll be separating a few texts over here. Now let's select this and I'll just cut it out. I want this to stand on its own. So once I have that, I'm just going to be creating a shape at the back of this so that I can change the color of this. I don't want the black, so let's just make it white first of all. And I'll grab any shape at all. I can use the rectangle. Yeah, let's just go with a rectangle. I create a shape like this, and I'll make sure that that shape is beneath the text, that is, this is awarded to, else the shape is going to show before the text. We don't want that. I actually want the text to show on top. So let's increase the size of this to about 14 points and bring this down to, I think something like this is okay. Now I'll use the rectangle. I'll use my move tool to align my rectangle like so. Alright, so this is awarded to Theolabi, and I'll go ahead and increase the font size. Now I try to make it a bit consistent. So since this is about 36 points, I'll try and make this also 36 so that they all look a bit uniform. This has to be a capital letter, and I'll also select this, and since this is 14, then this should also be 14. I mean the font size, it should also be 14. Then again, you can see that the spacing is too close, so I'll go into character options and I'll change it to about 30. I think 30 should be okay, and I'll just click on OK. So basically that is it. I actually want to add in a border. This makes it a lot easier when you are printing documents. So to do that, I usually just use the rectangle tool, but I don't know what you feel comfortable with, but this is what I usually use. So I'll draw a rectangle like so, make sure it covers the entire design like this, and I'll click on OK. Now let me stretch it out a bit. Now because my background color is white, I'll make sure that the rectangle is also white, so that becomes my new background, and I'll place it on top of the background. So I can actually just unlock this and delete it if I don't need it, but it doesn't really matter. It's basically the same thing. So once I have this, I actually make sure that that rectangle is selected and it is not locked like this. If it is locked, this won't work. And I'll go into FX and I'll click on stroke. Now with the stroke settings, which is on the right hand side, I'll change the position to inside, so the stroke will be inside of the rectangle and not outside of it. And I'll change the color to whatever color I want. In this case, I want it to be black, and I'll click on OK. Now the size is set to 10. You know what, let me just zoom in so that we can see what we are doing. If you take a closer look, you can see that we have the stroke inside. So I'll go back to the stroke options or the stroke style, and in case I increase the size, you can see that it is increasing on the design as well. So I'll probably set it to about 20 and just leave it as that. So basically that's it. As always, I'm going to have this linked in the description below, so be sure to check it out. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of my videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Final Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.